Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Yo White Plains. My name is Tom and I am your host. And I came to have some fun on the program. I hope you're interested in having fun as well with me. So right now in White Plains, New York, it's January. It's the middle of January and we're in the middle of what is called a polar vortex, which means it's really cold. So the reason that I bring it up is that if you are going out in cold weather, it's very important to have layers of clothes so that you don't get too cold, you don't catch as many colds, and you stay in better health in the winter season. And one of the things that I noticed that a lot of people don't do enough of is wear scarves. And a scarf is very useful for the winter. This is the one I use. Now, of course, I'm a big music fan, so you'll see it's actually got piano keys on the scarf. I just happen to like that. But what I learned was very important about a scarf is that you kind of want to put the middle of it first, like this, and then you can put the other parts around it. And then look at that. It looks kind of nice and neat where it's really covering you in the middle, and you can tighten it like that and kind of bring it up over your mouth if you need to. You can even tuck the sides in, and it looks real nice and neat. So this is a scarf. Now, your scarf at home might look different, might be a different color, but it's the same idea. Make sure, in the winter, in a month like January, you're going to make sure you know where your gloves are, where your hat is, where your scarf is, where your heavy jacket is, because you don't want to go outside. It was less than 10 degrees, like a single number of degrees outside today when I woke up. So make sure you stay warm. Another thing, something that you probably heard people talk about this week was a really big thing that happens every 4 years in the United States. And it's when we do this thing called an inauguration, or like a swearing-in ceremony of a new president in the United States. And so we had the person who won the election in November, Donald Trump, become president again. See, because he was president before. In 2016, he won the election. And so he became then the 45th president of the United States. What's interesting for those people who are into numbers, and I'm a big numbers person, Donald Trump is one of the very few people who can say they were two different presidents in their lifetime. And the reason he can say that is because he was the 45th president, and as of Tuesday, he became the 47th president. And the reason why he's two different presidents, because he didn't win two in a row. He won one, and then Joe Biden won in 2020, and then Donald Trump won in 2024. And that's what makes him 45th and the 47th president. Interesting. So on Tuesday, what you might have seen or you might have heard about happening was a big ceremony where we had Joe Biden, the outgoing president, kind of walk out, and then Donald Trump, the new president, walk in. And the reason why it's so great that we have something like that in the United States is that what you notice if you watched it or you saw a report of it, they didn't fight, they didn't get angry at each other, on Tuesday, because they'd already knew what was going to happen. And it was very much, when you hear someone say a peaceful transition of power, that's what that means, is that the two people one can leave and finish their job, and the next person can come in and start their job, and we can kind of keep on moving on our own lives and not have a lot change necessarily. Then the new president can come in and do, hopefully, the things they promised they were going to do when people voted for them, and we'll see what happens next. But Tuesday was called the inauguration, or the swearing-in ceremony. You might have heard people talk about it. It's nice to be able to, to talk back and answer people who say, ask you if you know about what happened Tuesday, and that's what it was. So welcome to the program. I do not have a special guest today, at least not a human one. I do have Headless Hank, who I brought with me, and here he is. Hello. Hello. Still has no head. Honestly, if I got him a head at this point, I'd have to change his name probably. The reason why I showed you Headless Hank is that I'm going to do something a little different in this program than I did last time, because last time I had a special guest and we were able to talk together about dolls and makeup and fashion and stuff. It was so cool. You should watch it when you get a chance. But this time, it's just me, but I always want to make sure on the program that I give people thoughts about things that they can do and be social and do with friends. And so without a special guest, I can't show you a person-to-person thing, but what I could do is I could show you something that I did when I was a kid. And that was to have an imaginary friend. Now, I have a very good friend named Stephanie in town, and she told me not to talk about imaginary friends. I don't agree. I think that imaginary friends are important to have, and sometimes imaginary friends are something that you can think about and really feel some sort of part of what friendship is, even if you don't have a human that is that friend for you. When I was young, when I was little, maybe 5 or 6 years old, I had an active imagination and still do. And in that imagination, I had my own imaginary friend. I used to walk behind my house and walk down the street, down the hill that was behind the house, into the woods that were there, and there was usually nobody else around. So I would take a little stick that fell on the ground or something like that, and go and pretend I was like Sir Lancelot from, the Knights of Camelot or something like that. So it was always a grand vision, right? It was always something that, I was always a hero of some sort and saving the day. And I always had a good time with that. And I never thought anything was up with that, and no one was around to tell me anything was wrong with that. And it kind of helped me, because then when I got to meet people that became my real life friends, at least I knew at that point what sort of things I like to do, because I would do those first with my imaginary friend, who really sort of kind of is me. But let's just say that, someone asks you if you have a friend and you want to say yes, and maybe you don't have that human friend yet. Well, there's this thing that you probably heard about called ChatGPT, and I want to show it to you. I have a computer right here next to me, right here, and I'm going to ask the ChatGPT questions. Now, what ChatGPT is a piece of computer software that lets you access information from artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, or AI, it's something that you might have heard a lot about. Maybe you haven't heard that much about it. Maybe you think you don't care about it. Maybe you really don't care about it, but maybe you love it. There are a lot of people in the world whose job it is to make artificial intelligence and things like ChatGPT better, easier to use, giving better information, helping the world more. It's a really big movement called AI, and I don't think that if you're watching this program that you need to be afraid of it. I think that it's always natural to be afraid of new things that you don't understand, and that's okay. There's a lot of things in life that we're not going to understand, but try to have some patience and try to experiment with it, and it's actually quite fun. So I wanted to show you how easy and fun it can be to experiment with ChatGPT. And so I'm going to type in I'm actually going to say some things, and then I'll type some things, and then you'll be able to follow along, because it's just going to be up here on my computer screen while I do it. All right, welcome back to Yo White Plains, where I, Tom, your host, am joined by Headless Hank, my puppet, and by my computer, which doesn't have a nickname yet, but on which I'm using ChatGPT, the new name for one of the most popular AI-based chatting tools. So I have a computer here. I'm going to go ahead and ask it a question. Maybe it's a question you want to know the answer to. It's just a question that came up all of a sudden for me, and I'm going to see how it works with that. All right, so I'm going to switch over now to ChatGPT. All right, if it can come up on the screen, then I'll be able to see it, and that is perfect. So let's do this. What is the capital of Arizona? Let's see what it says. Capital of Arizona is Phoenix. Now, you probably knew that. But isn't it cool to have kind of like a texty buddy that knows a lot of stuff and you can ask questions to it? Let's try another one. I am an artist. I would like to know how to do origami. So now origami is, well, let's see what it says about it. I'm going to read the response or part of it back to you. So I don't know if you ever heard of the word origami, but what ChatGPT says back, and it's kind of fun to read sometimes here. Origami is such a beautiful art form. To get started, all you need is a square piece of paper and some basic folding techniques. So basically, it's you take a piece of paper and you fold it, right? Let's see more of the answer. Let me take a look up here. All right, so it says things like start with the basics, learn a few simple folds, like the mountain fold. That's a certain fold says folding paper in half, and valley fold, or folding the paper towards you. So there's certain techniques for folding that have names. So that's good to know about origami. So imagine that you had a person that you wanted to be friends with, and their favorite thing to do is origami. This might be an interesting way to not have to ask like the basic questions about origami, and then you'll be able to be super duper friends with this person and do the thing that they love to do, which is origami, and you learned that in no time at all on ChatGPT. So the great thing about ChatGPT is pretty much any device you might have, like a phone or a tablet, like let's say you have an iPad, or let's say you have a home computer, or even you go down to the library and kind of use one of their computers because they have shared computers. You could actually do that, and you wouldn't even need your own computer. You could access ChatGPT, and that's pretty cool. Now maybe why don't we ask it something, how about this? Let's ask it a question here. Now I'm asking a question to the AI. If you had the magic lamp from Aladdin, what would your 3 wishes be? What do you think it's going to say? Let's see. What a fun question. So, the AI, if the AI actually did wish for something, so let me look on the screen and see what it wished for, and I'll tell you. Number 1, it wished for infinite learning and understanding. Now, if you're like me, I thought it was already doing that. Number 2, a world of kindness and creativity. I agree with that. And number 3, eternal battery life. Now, if you were a being that was powered by electricity and batteries, you probably want that too. That's like the computer's way of saying it wants to live forever. Well, it wants to have battery life forever. So that's pretty funny. So now you know that ChatGPT can be like a friendly friend and not just answer, a math question or a science question or a news question. It can actually come up with fun things to do. Let's try one more thing. Let's try this. It is my friend's birthday next week. What would be a fun thing to do with a 12-year-old artist? Now, you could pick any kind of age or person, but my child happens to be someone who's turning 12 soon, so I just thought about my daughter. Anyway, let's see. Let's see what it says. It is my friend's birthday next week. What would be a fun thing to do with a 12-year-old artist? Let's see. So it came up with some suggestions. A do-it-yourself art party. That sounds fun for an artist. How about an origami workshop? We already talked about origami. That's pretty cool. On a future episode, I'm going to get some special origami paper, because there's special paper that folds really well, and we'll do some origami together. Maybe we'll make like an animal or something out of origami. Visiting an art museum or a gallery. In fact, there is an art gallery right here in downtown White Plains, and it's called Arts Westchester. So if you are on Mamaroneck Avenue in White Plains, you would be able to see it. It's it's in the same building as the shopping center where you might see Apple Cinemas, and you can go inside and there's a supermarket inside and a Target. So that Arts Westchester, that could be a place to go. And imagine if you could tell your friend who's an artist, hey, let's go to Arts Westchester and hang out. In fact, I think most of the time, if not all the time, it's free to go. Let's look one more time back at the screen because there was a couple other options. An art scavenger hunt. Now, I mean, let me tell you, me personally, I love a good scavenger hunt. And I'll tell you what, I bet you on a future episode of Yo White Plains, we'll do a scavenger hunt together. I think that'd be a fun thing to do. A customized sketchbook or art kit. See, that's a great idea too. So imagine that with ChatGPT, not only can you access almost any information in the world if you know how to ask it the right way, you can come up with great ideas for fun things to do. So that, ladies and gentlemen and kids, is ChatGPT. So I think it's a lot of fun. Maybe you can try it out. Maybe you can try it out and tell me what you made with it. I always love to hear when people tell me what interesting thing they learned, but even more so because I like to play with computers myself. I like to hear the question they asked that got the cool answer. So let me know. Thanks. And I think now I'm about to do probably one of my most fun things to do in life, and that is dance. So I'm going to go right ahead and get ready for that. See ya.
Get on with it, get on with it, get on, we get on. Now come on, click in it, hop in, pop out. Come on, running, coming up in on round. Now come on, second guessing nothing, nah, now. Come on, representing, I can't pipe down. Come on, jump with it, jump with it, jump with it, jump. That's it, now come on, click in it, hop in, pop out. Come on, stepping, rapping, hop in, like where they at now. Packed every city on the map, screaming, ain't no one to run it like me. Got parties jumping, on the money, like band. Drop anthems on command like I'm chief. They parade in my town, running like I'm G.O.V. Adele of my crowd coming, they know we roll deep. Ain't bout to pipe down, nothing, we can be low-key. You got the right now, hush it, you ain't U.S., then U.S. to me. No time for nothing, I'm tired of running. They say they make change, show me a dime or something. Get on with it, 2 cents a dime, it doesn't hold them. Get on with it. Now come on, click in it, hop in, pop out. Come on, running, coming up in on round. Come on, second guessing nothing, nah, now. Come on, representing, I can't pipe down. Come on, jump with it, jump with it, jump with it, jump. That's it, now come on, click in it, hop in, pop out. Come on, stepping, ripping, hop in, let the facts out. Topic was left to say, if the question's on the run, then there ain't nothing to debate. Okay now, sharp with it to the fade. Don't be talking on the move unless you bout to make it shake. Okay now, they are we the new pro league. If you ain't bout my brothers, you can't be pro me. Ain't free enough type budget, passing bills on B. We ain't alike, I love it. You ain't US, hey, US to me. Worldwide they want it, Dubai to London. They say they make change, show me a dime or something. Get on with it, you know the signs running. Get on with it. Dang!
Thanks, everybody, for joining me here on Your White Plains. This is Tom, the host, signing off and saying I hope you have a wonderful day, stay warm, and I'll see you next time. Peace.